Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Hamza Idris. We start the day with tidbits. First, the federal government has dismissed a comment credited to an official of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, that the 2023 general elections face a serious threat of cancellation or postponement due to insecurity. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said the position of the federal government is that security agencies are working hard to ensure peaceful conduct of the elections as scheduled. Take a look at this.
The position of the federal government remains that the 2023 elections will be held as planned. Nothing has happened to change that position. We are aware that INEC is working with the security agencies to ensure that the elections are successfully held across the country. The security agencies have also continued to assure Nigerians that they are working tirelessly to ensure that the elections are held in a peaceful atmosphere. Therefore, there is no cause for alarm.
That was Lai Mohammed speaking on holding elections. Also, President Muhammadu Buhari was in Yobe State today in continuation of his party's campaign rally in several states in the northeast region of the country. President Buhari, during the rally, had called on residents in the state to vote for the party and its presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to continue the developmental strides which his administration had achieved. Although the president spoke in Hausa, the party's presidential candidate Bola Tinubu pledged to transform the region to an agro-processing hub. Have a look at this.
We are indeed very grateful to Almighty God that the APC, that platform, and the people of Nigeria needed a change. They needed a leadership that will care. They needed a leadership that will not show any difference, that will not segregate. And that leadership is your leadership.
They voted to give me a mandate to carry the flag of APC. And I promise you, I will carry that flag without stain. I promise you hope, sincerity, transparency, job for our boys, revival of agriculture, hope for the hopeless. We owe them only the confidence of the challenge of today, tomorrow, and day after. We are going to leave this country, hand over to our children, build it, and give it a stain, a banner without stain. We are going to give you all good job you can depend on. Agriculture will come back. Hunger will go away. We turn Yobe, Borno, Northeast to agro-ally processing centers.
That was APC presidential hopeful Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And in the studio tonight, we are joined by former National Secretary of the All Progressive Congress, APC, a member of the Presidential Campaign Council of the party, and a member of the Independent Campaign Council of the ruling party, architect Waziri Bulama, as we discuss the chances of the APC as it moves to strengthen its support base in the Northeast, among other issues. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Malam Hamza.
Yes, you've seen it all.
Yes.
The happenings today.
Yes.
Well, the first one,
Yes.
from Abuja here,
Yes.
the Minister of Information
Yes.
said elections will definitely hold. Do you really agree with what he said, or you are with INEC?
Now, it cannot be an official INEC position
Yeah.
that threats exist to the extent that elections may not take place. Could not have been an official statement from INEC.
Well, he heads the Election Institute, and he represented the INEC chairman.
Well, for me, I think at the moment there is no such security threat that can prevent elections from taking place. The threat could be, let's say, in the form of access to the polling unit in certain, in the country. Because over the last, 7 years or so, the federal government has succeeded in degrading organized crime, in this country. Organized crime where, for instance, bandits and insurgents, hold certain parts of the country and prevent access to Nigerians to freely move around or live or carry out economic activities. Organized crime has been degraded, and all the parts of the country are accessible. And so because of that, I wouldn't say there is such a threat that would prevent the elections from taking place. In any case, the level of our political development today has gone to a point where the GNI, has been let out of the bottle. We have systems and processes that are working. The electoral system and the processes have been transparent, and they are independent, and they are working. The security institutions are working, and they are alive to their responsibilities.
Just like what
the
judiciary
too.
Said, yeah.
Yes, judiciary too. All these institutions that are involved in election administration and election management are preparing fully, without interference from the leadership and from higher authority to do one thing or another without any form of state interference. They are working on their own. So,
but I think the fair architect,
yes,
stems from the attacks on INEC, symbols like their, offices, attacks on police, especially in the southeast.
Yes.
And you are from Borno?
Yes.
Will you now say that election will hold in Krenoa, that is in Marte, or in Kalabalge? Is it really free, or you think certain things must be done? Of course, the governor said 90% of Borno is secured.
Yes.
Quite a few days ago.
The citizens, wherever citizens live, like displaced people who are living in camps, people of these communities are known, their identities are known, they have their own register, and access will be, materials and all the arrangements will be taken to where they live for the elections to take place, especially as far as Borno is concerned. We had this experience in 3 previous elections, 2011, and particularly 2015 and 2019, where elections were held in camps, in those areas where the citizens of, let's say, Kerenoa or Marte, lived, or where, citizens from
near the Goza Rock,
So all these
Mandara,
people were afforded the right to, vote, cast their votes and get, their votes counted. And in the case of the Southeast, of course, there is a great deal of tension and resistance from non-state actors. People who are against the establishment itself. Such people, of course, as we had during the Boko Haram days, that Boko Haram, insurgents burned schools and public institutions and so on. Similar things are happening in some parts of the Southeast, but I am sure this problem will be overcome because we have people who are in favor of holding the elections in all these states. There are people who are running for Senate, House of Assembly, the presidency, and all that. And all these people want to ensure that elections take place. They will cooperate with the security agencies to minimize threat to the elections because of their own self-interest, as well as, so because of this...
Which is really an indictment, because we will go to institutionalizing democracy later. Well, I think, why can't they, actually surmount some of these challenges? And closely related to this, people believe that maybe holding elections in camps is actually a recipe for rigging, because you see a turnout of 95%. And when you compare with maybe wards where people actually go out to vote, it's less than 50%.
But the room for self-help and for rigging, has been narrowed, especially, you see, with this...
beavers,
as well as the, registration, cards and the beavers and the verification processes. So the room for self-help has been narrowed, and to that extent, wherever people live, I believe that elections, free and fair elections will take place. And also, of course, the fact that these parties, all have candidates, and they have agents who are watching over these elections, international monitors, and the proactive nature of INEC officials as well as the security agencies in ensuring that they carry out the instruction given to them by their leadership. Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, a couple of months ago, said that they will be guided by their own conscience, their place in the eyes of God, and what the Constitution says of, requires of them. And the president said that his desire is to ensure that free and fair elections take place. So with all these things coming together, I believe that whether it's in camps or in any population area or location, I have the strong belief that elections will take place.
Okay, so you're on the same page with Lai Mohammed and by extension the federal government.
I am very confident that we have got to a point in the democratic development in this country where the room for self-help, has been narrowed substantially.
Okay. Now this takes me to...
Not to the liking of many, in the political elite. Because Dan Wanya, one of this Zenith Labour Party chairman, was saying this evening on Channels Television that about 65% of the elected people in Nigeria came through some kind of, self-help or abuse and that kind of thing. I wouldn't, really subscribe to that. But the point is that these transparent processes, is not one thing that many Nigerian politicians would like.
But I'm tempted to ask that INEC is also being threatened. You can see every other person is saying INEC is doing the right thing.
Yes.
But from unexpected quarters, you see some, moves to actually affect the energy, the vitality in the INEC leadership to do the needful, especially the threat to remove the INEC chairman via court cases that he didn't declare his asset correctly and all that, that waivers should be jettisoned and all that.
Obviously, those anti-democratic elements within the Nigerian elite will leave nothing, will resort to anything to disrupt the system or disrupt, the processes. But the point is that, you see, INEC, we're past that stage in this country, where, for instance, as we saw with our efforts in the first 15 years of this, democracy from 1999 up to our elections in 2011, when a lot of things, a lot of processes or steps were bypassed and results were announced and, papers were written and all sorts of abuses took place. We are past, that stage. The growth in terms of the ability of INEC to hold free and fair elections has been strengthened, and particularly under the leadership of APC. Because APC itself was a victim of those abuses as we were, in those previous parties. So APC leadership that came from the different parties came together in order to prevent these abuses, you see, from taking place in the country. And since we came, we've been, as we pledged initially by our party and our leaders, we've been pledging, and we've also lived up to promoting rule of law, free and fair elections, transparent elections, credible elections, ensuring that the judiciary, works even against our own party. Otherwise, we wouldn't have, for instance, lost, Zamfara or Rivers or Bayelsa, 2 years ago, where 24 hours before swearing in, the Supreme Court announced that we disqualified us and gave the victory to PDP.
But you can see technically you didn't lose Zamfara because the governor later defected to FPC. Maybe there was prior arrangement. I don't know.
No, there wasn't any prior. There was conflict, in our party in Zamfara as well as in Rivers State over control of party, over the credibility of the processes that produced, party leadership, and which faction was to manage or present candidates for elections. This was what happened in Rivers that led us to lose completely, and similar thing happened in Zamfara. But the point is that the aggrieved parties went to court and got judgment to disqualify the processes that produced this, and eventually, of course, we lost to the opposition. So, but these things happen under leadership controlled by the APC, which was not happening in the previous years before APC came to power. So what I'm just trying to stress is that the institutions of democracy, in the country, the institutions of government are stronger, virile, and they are working in line with what the Constitution says. The leaders under APC, especially under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, does not impose, does not direct, does not interfere in the processes these institutions are working.
Earlier when I said, certain things coming from unexpected quarters, I'm actually referring to the APC, because I had the national chairman say Nigeria is not really ready for beavers. The president at certain time also alluded to something like that, and that is why some people are alleging that even the court case instituted was in Imo or something like that, that beavers should not be used, is actually pushed by your party. You are a chieftain of the party.
Yes, I'm a chieftain of the party, and I know for sure that there is a very deep and serious commitment to the principles of democracy, to rule of law, to ensuring fairness, justice, transparency, and equity in this country. And even where, there is no how, for instance, our party or our leadership that is responsible for promoting, this situation in this country where people are feeling very confident and happy that they can vote and get their votes counted, that they can put somebody they like and remove somebody they don't like. This dispensation that has encouraged and stimulated so much public interest, any of our leaders will be quoted or be seen to be saying anything against this system that we have bring about. We are right now in APC. We are not afraid of free and fair, transparent and credible election. That is why we are carrying on a campaign based on direct mobilization of voters.
Yes, direct mobilization. Maybe that takes us to the second tidbit. Buhari today in Damaturu, Yobe State capital, call on people to vote for Tinubu. I think this is very significant. When yesterday he dilly-dallied in Adamawa. Is it the backlash that prompted him, even though I know you don't speak his mind, but what is your take that today he called on people and he called Tinubu's name, that vote for Asiwaju Bola Tinubu? Is this a new down for the Presidential Campaign Council?
No, the president is a statesman, Buhari, and he is also a very shy person. And he's someone who doesn't, like to attract too much attention, to himself. But he had always called Asiwaju his friend and political partner. Buhari is very happy and proud of the role he played in the formation of APC, the role he played in the attainments and achievements of APC in deepening democracy, strengthening the institutions of democracy in this country. He is very happy of his own achievements, for instance, in degrading Boko Haram. In Damaturu yesterday, he said, where is Boko Haram? At the dinner yesterday. You understand? Today, the governor of Yobe State, yesterday he said that Emir's palace in Damaturu, even if there was $1 billion for someone to pick, nobody dare go there, because before 2015, it had been they're taken over and controlled by the Boko Haram insurgents at a point in time.
Yeah, I know.
So Buhari is happy about these attainments of the APC. President Muhammadu Buhari oversaw the processes that we follow to bring out our candidate, to bring out the leadership of the party that represent the whole country. President Muhammadu Buhari is happy about how we managed to come up with one candidate out of 23 formidable, candidates, all of whom have paid their dues.
Some said he paid his way. I don't know.
No, that is not true. In fact, all the candidates all have their own attributes, financial. In fact, one of the guys said, "I am worth $1 billion."
Oh my God, that is
Jack Rich. If I just mentioned that, the one young man said, "Look,
yeah, I met him. Yeah,
I came from nothing to this point."
Yeah, I interviewed him. Yeah,
and I have $1 billion.
That's crazy.
And he is really rich. And some, have all.
But maybe he was scared to bring it out.
All the APC candidates, are endowed by God in various ways. They have class, they have quality, they have money, and they have everything. But what is important for us is that we held a process that was transparent, 24-hour, public TV. It was covered live, and then we voted, and one emerged. So anybody can say anything, but the point is that we know deep down that each of the candidates, in the eyes of the delegates, in the eyes of party men, were rated. They also campaign and engage separately.
Yeah.
And nobody interfered. The president definitely was very friendly and very supportive of each of them. But the choice was in our delegate. No,
he will have
actually, not that.
him.
As soon as you emerged through a process that was transparent, that was accountable, and that brought out the overwhelming support, of our party members, and that also showed the unity and the commitment and direction, in our party. So really, President Muhammadu Buhari had supports Tinubu Asiwaju Bola Ahmed to 100%. He supports him 100%.
But why was he actually saying Nigerians should vote for whoever they like? Some weeks back. And then at the time, he was not even participating in the campaign. Just 2 days ago, that was when you people roll out, you roll out the timetable that he's going to participate in about 10 states. Okay,
let me say this. You see, the President Muhammadu Buhari has always felt that the commitment to democracy, the survival of Nigeria as a united, strong country is more important to any partisan or personal interest. That has been, his driving motive in politics. So even today, you see, look at all these things. He came, he said it even in, Damaturu, after saying that, look, people should vote for Asiwaju, for us to continue, with the consolidate on what we have achieved. But he also said that, look, let us know that the most important thing to us is the survival of the country. That wherever we find ourselves and in any situation, we should do what is right for this country. And looking back at the months that preceded, let's say from 2022, 2021, 2022, President Buhari, had guided our party towards doing things that would unify our party, unify the country, towards, strengthening his belief in the rule of law and, leading through the force of personal example. For instance, he said, look, so all these processes that led to the transition, which is heading, he said, look, I'm not going to run again, number one. Even though, of course, there are people who want him to continue, definitely. He said, I'm not going to run again.
You mean there are people who want him to continue? Okay.
Let me say this. Okay. He said he's not going to run. And he's not going to crown or endorse anybody. You understand? Because many people in the party also, they
were counting on him.
They were counting on him, they were counting on his on his.
But people will always like to have a worthy successors.
And then in the course of that, we went in March. We carried out a successful national convention to bring out leadership of the party, the National Working Committee, the National Executive Committee, and so on. He didn't interfere. Then going forward, we went towards
that is why people are asking questions. Towards at the twilight, he said, okay, Abdullahi Adamu, because we reported that, and Abdullahi Adamu was actually, demand that emerged.
Well,
so people are now asking why was he reluctant to say, okay, it is Abdullah, it is Tinubu, or it is Ahmed Lawa, or it is Amechi. He all left them in the dark up till maybe, in fact, up till the last hour.
The national chairman, most respected Senator Abdullah Adamu, never denied the fact that there were some interests, within the APC establishment that wanted Senator Ahmed Lawan, the Senate President, to emerge as our candidate. He never denied that. Equally, too, there were people who were supporting, Pastor and Vice President, Pastor and Professor Yemi Osibajo, our strongman, Amechi or Amosun or John Kaide Fahimi, or Ken Namani or Bonaon, Emeka Wajuba, Yahya Bello, Badaru. These are all extremely, very powerful people in our party who have followership, who have deep connections in the party. But you see, as the convention for the candidate, got close, President Muhammadu Buhari encouraged us and encouraged all the stakeholders and our leaders to continuously engage in conversations on reaching a convergence, on decision making. He did that sometimes openly. He did that some other times, nocturnally and covertly. But the point is that there was a very intensive engagement. Personally, he never endorsed anybody, but he endorsed everybody, leaving the decision to the delegates.
Okay.
The power actually was not in the hands of anybody, not President Muhammadu Buhari. You could have dictated, because naturally, we in Nigeria, we are all used to the culture of big man. Look, by our culture and by the culture of dictatorship under the military that we have lived with for many decades. We believe that the man at the top has the absolute, power to dictate things.
So can we say now this is a credit to him? Because it's like he's changing I know that in 2007, Obasanjo went all out to campaign for Adwa. Even when Adwa was on sickbed, he was going around, saying, vote for this thing. Is this a new trend? And do you see it as positive for your party?
Absolutely. In fact, this is pure democracy. This is subscription, to the values and ethos and the principles of democracy, what President Muhammadu Buhari did. And as a statesman in politics, this is what is expected of him, to guide the whole country towards democracy and rule of law. Because it is that democracy that will ultimately, send a sense of, fairness and justice and transparency, in the country, and for peace to prevail. Because we have a checkered history in this country, from independence, all the things that happened, like the disruption, to the democratic processes, military interference, change in military regimes, and all sorts of things happened largely because we never, we had struggles, in following the processes and procedures of democracy, in ensuring that, look, we are law-abiding, everything is very transparent, there's peace, there is justice and fairness and openness, and everybody can feel satisfied that, look, anybody can do anything to struggle for office, but then the electoral process must be free, the judiciary must be independent and fair, and the security agents will not take sides and so on. This has been a very big problem in our history in this country. And President Muhammadu Buhari knew this. So from day one, when he entered politics, partisan politics in 2001, his rallying cry was to encourage Nigerians, sensitize them to vote, register and vote, and protect their votes.
And you think he has achieved in doing this?
Of course he has achieved that.
Okay,
he has achieved that 100%.
Thank you very much. I have more questions on this, but we will take a break. And yes, we want to do this architect Bulama, member of the Presidential Campaign Council. I will ask him how they have taken the democratic tenets further, but this will be after we return from break. Don't go away.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and you can follow our conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. We have in the studio architect Bulama, former secretary of the APC, a member of the Presidential Campaign Council. It's like you are convinced that your party has done well in advancing democracy, but many Nigerians are actually praying that Buhari should round up and go because the economy is in bad shape. Even political stability is being threatened. What will you say on this?
Well, the point is what President Muhammadu Buhari and the APC set out to do. I believe we've been able to fulfill our pledge, undertaking, and our promise to Nigerians. And also, when you look at our contributions to what, for instance, one of the pundits, over the weekend, one of the media pundits said that, look, President Muhammadu Buhari cannot be questioned for his simplicity, for his honesty, for his sense of the way he jokes, even though he said, well, his jokes are not cosmopolitan, but they are bucolic and that kind of thing. But the point is that they acknowledge the fact that this government has, under him, had achieved a lot of tangibles in terms of infrastructure, in terms of providing for the needy, in terms of bringing about economic and political stability to the country and so on. The intangibles.
Economic stability, people are really asking. Well, when he came, the dollar, how much was it?
Well, look at the situation. You cannot take these things out of context. You have to understand how the entire global economy is working at the moment.
Is that not really an alibi?
The issue of the cost of living,
yes,
inflation, recessions, the last 10 years, most economies in the world, even the strongest economies in the world, are really, really struggling and suffering from this. For instance, since we came to power in 2015, we've been through 2 recessions, which we've been succeeded in reflating the economy and pulling the economy out of 2 recessions.
But the poor is not really feeling that.
We succeeded in managing, the economy out of COVID. Now we have the challenge of the Ukrainian crisis, which is having, effect, on all economies in the world, even in developed economies.
Well, that is not on papers, architect. Even the NBS, look at the statistics,
These are just, by the way, but the point is that the key things that we pledged, curbing organized crime, like the crime in the Northeast, that had...
Yeah, that one a success, but it get bad too.
And then the crisis in the Niger Delta, which we've been able to sequester and ensure that there is peace, in the Niger Delta, relative peace in the Niger Delta.
But there is relative peace in the Niger Delta. Look at it at the height of the hike in price of crude oil.
Yes.
Saudi Arabia, made fortune. Angola made fortune. Many countries made fortune, but Nigeria was actually losing at that time. So
yes,
I don't know.
The point is the challenge, in the oil sector in Nigeria, differs from the other countries. But obviously, we've been able to sustain production, even though there is challenge. The challenge of insecurity had been degraded, but the challenge of oil theft was there, and also there is serious effort, to reform the oil sector with this bill which the president signed into law that privatized the oil sector so as to encourage private sector participation and induce more investment in the oil sector. So there is a great deal of effort to revamp this oil sector, which for now is really underdeveloped.
Yeah.
So that effort is going on, and also in terms of when you compare Nigeria to many other countries that were also facing cost of living crisis, recession, and so on, we've kept the economy going. The economy is operating and going. People are receiving their salaries. The contracts are being paid, and procurements are made, and our budget, regardless of the fact that we have serious revenue challenges in the country. For a country of 200 and nearly 20 million, we have a budget of a paltry $30 billion. You understand? This is really very
But whose fault? Whose fault?
It is the fault of the entire Nigerian elite. That, look,
but you people promised that it will actually change. Only just yesterday, Silva at the ministerial briefing, he was saying, yeah, of course, some of these refineries will come on board very soon, including modular refineries and Dangote refinery. But Nigerians expected that maybe while rounding up the first tenure,
yes,
in 2019,
yes,
that we'll say, okay, we have rolled out this, we have achieved this. I don't know whether it's part of the, you are a member of the campaign council,
yeah,
that every year one refinery, every year one refinery. We're supposed to have like 8 now.
But, you know, these things are easier said than done. And
but why did you promise people during the campaign?
You know, the professionals are always saying that refinery equipments are not equipments that you pick on the shelf.
Yeah.
You plan, you order, and the procurement takes time, and so on. But the point is that I'm very happy to let you know that this year, you know, under this government, Nigeria will be energy sufficient. Our refineries will bounce back. The Dangote refinery, which and
and subsidy will be removed in June.
of our leadership and the enabling environment we've created. It will also start production. So we will be energy sufficient. There will be sufficient kerosene, sufficient fuel, sufficient gas, sufficient everything in this country. So
will those things be a parting gift, or you think Nigerians will vote for you to continue in 2023?
No, the point is that, you see, we expect that we'll continue engaging Nigerians and explaining to them on the positive things that we have done and the positive things that are coming, and to encourage them to support this APC leadership to continue what we're doing, to continue well in consolidating the climate of fairness and transparency and accountability and justice, you know, for them to have a stake in who, you know, leads them in this country. This is a commitment that we have, you know, because people want a country that is where systems are working. In fact, every Nigerian elite, all these guys who are living in diaspora, what do they want if you ask them? They say, look, a country where there is justice, a country where systems are working. And this is what the APC is trying to do. Even the president will not dictate to anybody on what to do. The president has, you know, encouraged systems and institutions, you know, to develop and become strong in this country, that irrespective of anybody, whatever is your connection and whatever is your status in life, you can get justice and fairness in this country, and opportunities will be there for everybody. And then with the improvement, for instance, in not just, you know, energy sufficiency, especially in fuel supply, we expect that this year, with the massive investment in transmission, because there is a lot of power that has been generated, which is locked up, which is not transmitted, and there is a lot of work going on to improve transmission. So by the middle of this year, we expect that at least, you know, our need for power for 24-hour electricity in this country as it is will be met. So these are the promises that we have, you know, going forward, and we expect that Nigerians will respect this and vote back both APC to continue. And especially now that we have 2 candidates, you know, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima, are both, you know, thoroughbred, you know, civilians who have no privilege, you know, of the kind of things that Nigerians, people are free to ask them and question them and take them, you know, to task. These are people who struggle to arrive at this position. Our party members, you know, elected them transparently and put them forward. So they have no luxury of not performing. And thank God that both of them are professionals, and both of them are accountants and bankers. Both of them have record of good governance, and both of them have a lot of good programs to implement to consolidate on the tangible and intangible achievements that were recorded under President Muhammadu Buhari. So we believe going forward we'll have a country where Nigerians, you know, all our stakeholders, I mean, who have the media, the civil society, you know, diaspora Nigerians, scholars, you know, all Nigerians who want to see a country that works, you know, will
country that works. What are you telling people in the Northeast? Because we're talking about strengthening your chances in the Northeast. You have 3 PDP states, 3 APC states. Of course, Taraba, Bauchi, and Bauchi, Taraba, and what else? They are all PDP, right? You have Adamawa, you have Borno, Yobe, and Gombe APC. So what are you telling people to actually diminish the chances of PDP encroaching into your territory? or NNPP or Labour Party or ADP or any of the other political parties too. Yeah.
Well, you see, at the moment, we are in firm control of 3 states.
Yeah.
Borno, where, for instance, just before we came, you said there is a remarkable, stunning change, in the face of, Maiduguri and so on. Our governor is performing very well. The governor in Yobe, is also performing very well.
Gombe.
Yeah, Gombe too in Wayaha is doing extremely well. He's doing very well. He's promoted so much entrepreneurship and basis for economic expansion, of Gombe State. And we believe that he will also consolidate. He will get the support of Gombe people to continue to get a second term. We also have, 3 formidable candidates in those states that were not in power. We have Sadiq in Bauchi State, who was a former chief of army, air staff, who is a very, very progressive, forward-looking, determined, person. We believe that the people of Bauchi will rally around him and to take over. We also have a very, very formidable candidate in Adamawa State, Senator
Yes, because
Binani,
yesterday he called her name. Do you think we had a gubernatorial candidate here? I don't want to call them, but he said if she wins in Yobe South, Yola South,
yes,
that they should just declare her winner. If she wins, because she is from Yobe, Yola South, this candidate said if she wins in that, they should just swear her in because of culture, religion, and all that.
My response to this is this.
It was actually Umar Ardo, yeah.
Fine. Umar Ardo, is a friend. He's running on the platform of SDP.
Yeah.
But Senator Binani, Aisha Dairu Binani, she is a formidable person.
But will culture, religion allow her to get to the promised land?
In fact, how come that, she became a senator and she's a serving senator, number one? How come that she was able to win the primaries, free and transparent primaries in our own party, to emerge as the candidate of the party, running along with other formidable, male figures? That means that she has the support of the party members behind her. And our party is united, in Adamawa State behind her. And in Adamawa, we have some of the most prominent stakeholders of the APC from Adamawa
Will
State.
they not actually do anti-party? Because
look, the era of treating women as second-class citizens, is gone. Even in deeply Islamic societies like Bangladesh, Pakistan, women have not just become senators, they have become prime ministers. India, women...
In Pakistan, Bhutto was actually killed because of the,
But, the fate that and threat that leaders face, that is an entirely different ball game. But she was clearly and transparently elected, into prime ministership. She was a leading politician of note, in Pakistan. That is the point that I'm making. In Bangladesh, too, we have a woman prime minister. Yeah. And even now, not only is our party in Adamawa State with all the stakeholders, rallying behind her, but the entire APC establishment from President Buhari.
Yeah, he mentioned her name.
Not just, that is not just even by the way, he gave her audience a day, but President Muhammadu Buhari encouraged all these things, to happen. So all of us in the party, in all the 36 states plus Abuja, were in support of Binani emerging as the governor of Adamawa State. As the governor of Adamawa.
Maybe elected governor.
She has the capacity, she has the capacity to lead. Even in this position, she's a leader. And even in the Senate, she has never been a floor member. She is a front runner in contributing to debates, in the National Assembly. She is a respected leader. We see her as such, not as a woman, not as anybody who has no capacity or inferior, not somebody being bullied or being talked to. No, she is a leader in her own right. And then finally, in Taraba State, we have the experienced Senator Bacha, who is carrying the flag of our party.
Okay. Now, when you mention Taraba, it actually reminds me.
Yes.
Of course, you have candidates. We agree they are strong.
Yeah.
And if I say achievements, you will say, okay, you have demystified Boko Haram and all that. But we were shocked because one of our directors here in this company, interviewed a former, CEO of transmission company of Nigeria, who came with a start, really shocking, Usman Gur Mohammed, shocking revelation that Mambila is actually not viable. And Mambila is actually one of the showcase projects in court of President Muhammadu Buhari. So people in Taraba, they've been anticipating Mambila. Now, this is a man of knowledge who said it is not viable. So have you people been deceiving Nigerians with Mambila? That it will actually not come on board at the end of the day?
Well, with all due respect to my brother and friend, Usman Gur.
Yes.
He has personal view on many issues. And of course, but the point is, this Mambila project has been on the drawing board for so many years.
Many decades,
Yes, and experts.
It was actually a glad tidings.
Experts and stakeholders.
Like the second Niger bridge, anyway.
Yes, and the second Niger bridge, it has been on the drawing board for many years.
Buhari has delivered that.
But who would question, for instance, the viability of the second Niger bridge?
Well, it has come. We agree you have done that, but Mambila
and the Mambila projects
with all the pomp and pageantry.
Yes,
and this is a man, an engineer, a former TCN.
He's not an engineer. He's an accountant actually.
Okay, accountant, but he has ample knowledge of.
I understand. I said, well, with due respect, I mean, there's no this has been MD of a transmission company of Nigeria, and definitely he has insider knowledge, he has his own views. But the point is, the Mambila power project is paid to produce about 4,000 megawatts.
Yes.
Now, in an energy challenged country like us, how would you say that? How would you say we don't need that kind of addition to the power system in Nigeria? The power produced will not even be used in.
No, I think he was not talking about adding the megawatts, but the viability. Because when I read, because we transcribed the interview, we aired it on 30 minutes, on TV, but we also ran it in the paper. The man was saying the engine and all that if you put it, what you will invest, because he was making reference to other, cost of producing it using other methods in other places, that it's not actually commercially viable, not that it will not really work. So will you go back to drawing board when you win election to actually look at how to now navigate the path and bring it on board?
I guess probably that's what's going to happen. We would be humble and modest, to accommodate any view. But already you see, not just our leadership under President Muhammadu Buhari, but even our candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had made an undertaking that he is going to execute and deliver the Mambila Power Project in the Northeast. So, but then if the project needs, before execution or before we start the work, it needs further review and consideration of some factors that would improve, the implementation. Definitely, anything can be done to bring in ideas to ensure that we get value for money.
And you people are celebrating Niger.
Second Niger bridge.
Yes. What will you say on that?
Well, we are very, 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 very happy because the southeast, especially Onitsha and
Delta and all that, even the south.
Particularly, the south and the southeast. Particularly the southeast, there is a great deal of business activity and manufacturing that takes place, and movement into and out of the southeast has always been very slow and impaired by the lack of second bridge. So we are very happy that this bridge is going to facilitate faster and speedier movement into and out of the Middle East, southeast. So it would help reduce stress on people. It will help to speed
and you're also using it to actually demarcate the Labour Party and the PDP candidates.
The Labour Party for us is not even a competition.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, so for us, we are very happy in what our government has achieved. In providing infrastructure, especially this second Niger bridge and the completion of this local Weto bridge that also reduces the transit time from the city national capital to the southeast and out of the southeast and goods, and manufactured goods and raw materials and movement of people is facilitated and so on, we'll be very happy. Any part of Nigeria where we bring relief to people, I mean, we celebrate it, because this is part of Nigeria, and we're very happy, happy for
all right,
for
on a happy note also. Thank you very much, Architect.
Oh, is that all?
Yes, we have. You can see we have exhausted the time, and I have many questions. But the director is telling me that your time is off.
Oh, really?
And you are actually flowing. Yes, trying to, unleash the achievement of your party. We'll bring you back.
Oh, thanks.
To come
with
and
all
do
pleasure. The point is that I believe very strongly that the media, they are also partners, in our nation-building effort. It is not just the political class that are supposed to govern and then provide the enabling environment for Nigerians and so on, but the media, civil society, the scholars, the civil service, these are all non-partisan stakeholders. And there's a convergence, really. For me, in APC, there's a convergence in interest to achieve, rapid national development and stability.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, viewers, we've been with Architect Waziri Bulama, a member of the Presidential Campaign Council, a former National Secretary of the ruling All Progressive Congress. And that's a wrap on today's program. Do well to collect your permanent voter's card and make a commitment to vote in the forthcoming election to guarantee a better future for all of us. Thanks for watching, and do join us again. I'm Hamza Idris.